It's recording.
Hello, I'm Johnny
Oh,
Cash. Well, I hear the train a come and rolling round the bend. I ain't seen the
I'm
sunshine
gonna leave all this in.
since I
So,
don't know when, but I'm stuck here with Janet.
what's the one that you were singing when you were in Italy? The one you guys were doing karaoke with?
Oh, wise men say only fools rush in,
No, it
but
was the one
I
about the
can't.
got runned over by a damned old train.
Oh, well, I was drunk
Yeah.
the day my mom got out of prison, and I went pick her up in the rain. But before I could get to the station in my pickup
Truck,
truck, she got run over by a
damned
damned old
old train.
train. It's the only part that lady wanted to sing.
Well, it is kind of the best part of the song.
You know,
And it's the only one slow enough and clear enough that you could know the
yeah,
words to
it's like,
it.
well, you seem a little highfalutin for this song, ma'am.
Ah, there's Kemp. So now we wait for the music.
Now you have to turn the microphones on
Yes.
when it's time.
Hello and welcome to the Valley today. I am your host, Janet Michael. We are live in the studio for Public Safety Thursday. Captain Gosnell sitting across the desk from me and not blocked by a computer, which is normally this giant screen sitting here because we had some technical difficulties before we got started.
Technology is great
When it works.
until it's not. Back in the day, we would just grab another record and throw it on.
You
I,
came in and there was confusion about how are you going to get access to your music, and you're like, can't you just put it on a cart? And I'm like, dude, how old are you?
and I was like, I'm that old. But hey, those were the good old days of radio.
I am just grateful that if something like this were going to happen, it happens with you sitting there because you have probably more working knowledge of
Oh, that board is
this
the same
board
board as when I was here. So
than
yes,
I do.
yeah.
Poor,
I'm like, you got to be sure to do this, got to do that.
right?
She's like,
Yeah. I don't, what? Poor
what?
Lonnie. Yes. Yeah, he had to come in and explain it to me
I actually
twice.
wanted to switch spots and sit
You
behind the
did.
board. I wanted to run the board,
And
but
if it doesn't go well this first segment, you may do that for
yeah,
the second half.
switch.
But thank you for making the trip over. Anything exciting happen on the way to the station today?
This one lady, she was getting up there with speed, but I think she finally realized the new ride, and
Ah.
so see, yeah,
Oh, I didn't see you come in, so I haven't
you
seen
were
the new
walking in when I
ride.
was coming down the road. I'm like, she doesn't know it's me.
No, I
Yeah, I've
didn't.
got a new chariot. Still trying
Oh.
to pick a name for her, but yeah,
So now I have to stop my brain from looking for Scarlet.
yes, Scarlett is still out there. She's just not being driven by
Someone
me.
else is her chariot driver.
He's going to go by, and they're going to go, Gosnell is shorter than I thought. But yeah. Yeah, I'm still trying to pick a name and did a little bit of DMV grant enforcement over the weekend, and
Oh.
one of the fine folks I dealt with in the midst of getting me his documentation made the comment, I didn't know you got a truck, and I was like,
Ah.
yeah, a lot of people don't yet,
Yeah.
but
See, there you
so
go. That's
yeah,
going to be your superpower until it catches on.
so yeah, not a whole lot on the way over. Beautiful day though.
It
Saw
was.
saw some of the leaves that they're at that peak color. I guess a lot of them are falling now, but you still a little bit out there. I'm not going to invite anybody to Front Royal to peep because I know some of the folks are here. Yeah, come on, we want you, we want, and other folks here are like,
No.
stay where you are.
Right?
And so I'm not inviting anybody to come look at any beautiful leaves in the Shenandoah Valley, which only happens one time a year. I'm not telling you you should do that,
Uh,
but
I did take your advice that you have given on this show for the last 10 years, which
mm,
is knowing that it is peeper season. I gave myself a little bit of extra time to get here because I didn't know what traffic was going to be like once I crossed over the bridges.
And then
So,
they have road work going on down by the Knotty Pine.
oh yeah, I don't go that way.
So,
I cut the bypass.
yeah, but
So,
if you had to, you wouldn't be able to. See, that's the other thing. You got to know, okay,
ah,
what happens if the route I normally go isn't available?
that's
And so that
true.
route, it seems a lot of people normally go because one of the little side streets coming out there at Wendy's, yeah,
It,
traffic was backed up there. So, but yeah, it was a nice drive over. Again, beautiful day. We're finally into November. We've got the elections behind us. No more political
oh
ads,
my
at
gosh, I
least
can't tell you how happy I am
till
about that.
next year. I'm so and so, and I approve this ad.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, but no. So a
And
beautiful day.
you're gearing up tonight for the Valor Awards that are happening. I had Kaylee Fincham from the Top of Virginia Regional Chamber on the show a couple of weeks ago. She and Brandon Laurie. Brandon Laurie is CEO at Bank of Clark. They're the presenting sponsor for Valor
Hmm.
Awards. It's a really big deal for law enforcement, for EMTs, for all of our public safety first responders.
I think it's always nice when first responders are being recognized, not only by those in their agency, but by the community and by
Hmm.
organizations within the community. It's a positive reinforcement. You know, there there are those people that are like, look, some of these things that first responders do are like they're up here. You know that is freaking awesome. I almost said the other word, but it's freaking awesome that you were able to do this, or that this group of people in this organization were able to do this. And then there are other events where people are like, well, isn't that what you're being paid to do?
Oh,
And let me just say, I I've been fortunate enough to be on the receiving end of this before, and it's humbling. The one lady that me and another deputy were awarded for helping save her life when she had a heart attack. We're still friends today. You know, we
wow.
don't talk on a normal basis. I'm not going to
Oh yeah, you're not
misconstrue this,
besties, but
but I didn't know her at all before this happened. But afterwards, she wanted to meet us. She did. She brought her son, who was also her adult son, who was there that night and assisted. And from there, she brought each one of us a bag of lifesavers,
I
which I
like
thought
this
was,
woman.
yeah, I thought it was neat. And so we became friends on social media and occasionally see each other out and about. But it was very humbling.
Hmm.
And that was one of those instances where, you know, I was like, look, I was only doing what needed to be done, what should be done until rescue got there. But
And that's okay. I have no problem when any of you in that position have that attitude. I think a lot of you actually have that attitude, whether it's something that's up high, like you were talking about earlier, or not. All of you are like, look, I'm just doing my job. And that's fine for you to say. But for those of us citizens to start grading you on what level of your job is your job versus above and beyond, I think is ridiculous.
well, and I think people in other businesses, other forms of employment, they can win awards within their organization for most productive, best attitude, it's 0 days, or what you don't want zero, 300 days since
Hmm.
last accident, stuff
Incident.
like that. Um,
2,500 consecutive
yeah,
episodes.
it's acknowledgement, you know, and in this line of work, I can tell you now, um, this is my anniversary month with the county. Uh,
How
uh,
many years?
I will clock 27 completed years as a full-time employee. October was 28 years since entering law enforcement.
Wow.
So I'm this close. The sheriff was asking me the other day, you know, how many years I had, and I was like, I'm this close to 30, you know, and that's a milestone, and we'll see what happens if knock on wood, if I make it there. But I can tell you that in this line of work, it's a pendulum.
Right.
And I think you and I have talked about this before. There are points in time and even historical points now where someone or a group of someone's within law enforcement or fire and EMT or such do something, you know, extraordinary, or they make that ultimate sacrifice like 9/11.
Hmm.
You know, anybody who was a first responder after 9/11, I don't want to say benefited, but was acknowledged, recognized, and appreciated because of what those brave men and
Right.
women did. And we had absolutely nothing to do with it. We were hundreds of miles away. Pendulum sometimes swings the other way.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, couple of bad apples, people that shouldn't have a badge and gun, or aren't responsible enough to drive a fire truck or a piece of apparatus that do, and do something extremely stupid that costs someone else their life or serious injury, and the pendulum swings that way, and then the rest of us are grouped in with them as well.
Yes.
And so for something like the Valor Awards, where individuals and teams and groups are recognized for doing, whether it was their job or not, but for doing a good job, for saving that
Mm-hmm.
life, to be recognized and shown some appreciation, I'm all for that. I'll remain all for that. And I think it's a good morale booster. And again, a good acknowledgement for the men and women who are out here 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365
Right.
days a year.
Yeah. And it's not just law enforcement, citizens are also recognized. So let's go to break. When we come back, let's talk about that aspect of it, because it is pretty cool that citizens get recognized in this as well.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Okay. I don't think Janet knows I'm recording this. She just stepped away to get another cup of coffee, so here's my chance. Hey everyone, it's Andy from the United Way of the Northern Shenandoah Valley. And yes, Janet, if you're hearing this, surprise, we're still celebrating the Valley Today's 2500th episode and this awesome community fundraiser you came up with. Here's the deal. Between now and the end of the year, it's Janet's goal to raise $2,500 to support the great work of the nonprofits in this community. If you give just $25 or more, you're going to be entered into a chance to be a guest on the show with Janet. If you give $250 or more, we'll make you a commercial just like this one that will air on the Valley Today podcast. So go to givebutter.com/The Valley Today right now before Janet realizes that I've hijacked her airtime. She's walking back in, cup of coffee in hand, gotta go. Remember to donate between now and the end of the year and support the great work of so many nonprofits and celebrate 2,500 episodes of The Valley Today.
Welcome back to the Valley Today. I am your host, Janet Michael. We are live in studio
Hit the button
today.
now. Slide it down. Wait.
Right.
I'm still giving. I'm
You are a
backseat boarding.
backseat driver.
I'm a backseat porter. Yeah.
We are live in the studio today. Captain Gosnell from the Bravery County Sheriff's Office is here with me. We do this first Thursday every month, Public Safety Thursday. This month we're talking about the Valor Awards that are happening tonight, Top of Virginia Regional Chamber's Valor Awards. I mentioned earlier that Kaylee from the Chamber was on the show along with Brandon Laurie from Bank of Clark. And I joked with Brandon that I thought Bank of Clark needed to have branded tissues to put at all the tables, because I've not yet made it to one of those award ceremonies, but I've been told by multiple people that it can be a tear-jerking experience, that it is so impactful and powerful.
I don't think the average person realizes just how many great things
Right.
we have happen in our community as a whole. And of course, I represent the sheriff in Frederick County, but I'm not talking about just Frederick County. Winchester, Stevens City, Middletown, Warren County, Front Royal, Shenandoah County, Strasburg, Woodstock, go across the line to Inwood, Bunker Hill, and Berkeley County, West Virginia, Charlestown. All these places, you don't realize, just number one, how many calls for service first responders are responding to in a year.
Oh.
How many of those turn out to be life-threatening situations? How many of those turn out that a person was saved? And unfortunately, how many of those that weren't? Normally, we focus on the fatality.
Mm-hmm.
People want to know who passed, how they passed, what happened,
Whose
what can we
fault
do to
was it?
prevent it
Right.
if it's somebody's
Right.
fault? Was it natural causes? All these questions, but they don't focus on the things where it started bad but ended on the good note.
Mm-hmm.
You don't realize just how much good people are doing, how much good first responders are doing on a regular basis, because sadly, most of the news that is getting people's attention, that the media is saying, hey, look,
this happened.
People need to know most of that tends to be the negative. Because
And something else is waiting in the wings to take its place, and they never come back to
correct.
what the outcome was.
And so with that, they also don't realize how many times private citizens are involved. And with the Valor Awards, they actually take the time not only to recognize the first responders we're talking about, but to also recognize those citizens that played a part. Sometimes it was the citizen that took care of things before we even got on scene. Those are the people that need to be recognized, because if you want to tell me, hey, great, Warren, you did good. You did your job. It's what my tax dollars pay you for. All right. Didn't pay Joe Citizen there. It's
Didn't
not
pay
his
the
job, her job.
4-year-old a couple of years ago that had the wherewithal to call 911 when their parent was in some sort of medical emergency.
Correct. And so taking the time to recognize those individuals. And so it's not just a pat on the back for law enforcement or fire and rescue. It's a thank you, and it expands to anyone who was able to perform one of those miraculous good deeds and has allowed someone to be still walking upon this earth, and to see another sunrise. And so I had a meeting this morning with some of our field training officers, because we've got a new group of recruits that'll be coming out of the academy soon.
I've seen them.
And right now in our line of work, morale, it's
It's tough.
it's hard to keep that up there. And in part of my conversation, I told them, when I look at it, I'm looking at morale, I'm looking at motivation, and I'm looking at mentorship. And those are the things that I'm asking our people to focus on when they're training new officers. And when it comes down to good Samaritans, I told you before the show, it's a double-edged sword. A lot of people out there may be thinking, what can I do to help, when they see something going on, and in the back of their head it automatically screams, what'll happen if something goes wrong?
Right.
Not necessarily even for their personal their personal
Their
safety, liability.
That's everybody's thinking, if something goes wrong, am I going to get sued? Am I going to be held responsible? And that does play a role in whether someone actually acts and being a good Samaritan.
And what's the thing that we notice when we're looking at these viral videos? And again, this can be anything. I'm not just talking about a traffic stop that's gone sideways, someone that's resisting. I'm not talking about someone who's trying to run back into a burning house because they want to save a pet or a piece of property, and firefighters are restraining them. I'm talking about anytime there's an interaction between two or more people that's going to either be physical, it's going to be loud and obnoxious, or some type of confrontation. What are most people doing, Janet, that are there?
They're looking the other way.
They're looking at their cell phone at the screen as they videotape what's going on, because we want to make sure this gets posted. All right, how many of you does it take to make sure that something gets posted, or that it's transparency?
Document,
yeah. Well, all I'm saying is there are times where people can step in and help that situation, maybe even diffuse that situation. We're teaching de-escalation within our agency, and we're not the only one, obviously, but sometimes the de-escalation would come easier from someone not in the uniform.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's a crapshoot. Let's be honest. If someone really wants to fight, if someone really is being that hardline, it doesn't matter who tells them or who asks them, hey, buddy, calm down. It's all going to be okay. That could trigger them as well. But if nothing else is working, what's it hurt to try? And so when these citizens that we're talking about, these good Samaritans, have stepped up and they're being recognized tonight, I would hope that others take something away from that message. It's just like with what I preach in law enforcement: see something, do something. Even if it's dialing 911, instead of videotaping, how about use that phone for what it was originally purposed for? hit those three numbers and get somebody on the way to try to help with this situation. Um, I can tell you, um, I've had to act as a good Samaritan before I got into law enforcement. And one of the things was I was also the victim was when I was rear-ended by a drunk driver at a stoplight. Um, and my vehicle was probably pushed 15, 20 yards through the intersection with, after the impact. And as I got out of the vehicle, checked on my passenger and looked at the other car and the damage that was on it, and that person was going to drive away. And so, even if I hadn't been the victim, if that's me there coming up on that crash, and again, I wasn't law enforcement yet, and this person is trying to leave the scene after this, the car wasn't going to really go anywhere, I don't think, looking at it. But I still would have pulled him out through the open driver's window as I did. And it's like, at that point in time, I'll roll the dice. I didn't throw anybody down. I didn't hit him. I didn't do any of that. I might have had a few choice words, right? We had Christmas gifts in the trunk that had just been bought. That
Yeah.
The trunk that was now no longer a trunk.
Didn't exist.
And those Hondas weren't made with an accordion style trunk. So once it crushed in, it didn't come back out. But all I did was prevent him from trying to leave it and waited till law enforcement got there. There have been medical emergencies before. There have been fights. I mean, I did a little bit of security work back in the day, and so it's, breaking up a fight was no big deal, but I'm not going to stand there and watch the fight.
Right.
And I'm not telling anybody to.
Or videotape the fight for likes.
Well, we didn't even have that capability when that happened.
That was,
so.
wow, you really, when we were talking earlier about putting my music on carts, I wasn't joking about your age.
Girl, I am what I am, and that's all that I am.
And I only joke with you about it because you have a first number that's higher than my first number. That's the only reason.
But your second number is higher than mine. So you're closer than you think.
I'm closing in, I will say that.
But yeah, and so when you're acting in that Good Samaritan role, I'm not telling anybody to put themselves in harm's way or in danger, because we tell people now, if you see somebody that's just looking to fight or is fighting with somebody, we're not asking you to jump in the middle of the fight,
right?
And risk your injury and break it up. What we're asking you to do is, again, make the phone call instead of the videotaping. After you make the phone call, videotape it if you want, so that you can document who did what or who said what. But to see something, do something, you never know whose life you're going to impact.
And it's not even always the person standing in front of you. If you are intervening in a medical situation, that person could have children, could have small children. That person could be the caregiver for their aging parents. It ripples out when you save one person, the other lives that you have a positive impact on.
And I've been successful with CPR, and I haven't been successful. And I can tell you that the families still appreciate everything that you tried to do. And in one case, they were able to say goodbye to their family member because it worked as far as getting them to the point where rescue could arrive and getting them to the hospital. But within a couple of days, they were gone. But the husband reached out and thanked me because that gave him time to say goodbye. And so these are the kind of things that, again, just because you wear a uniform and a badge or you're a first responder, doesn't matter. These are things that anyone can do. Learn CPR.
And let me just say, CPR is not what it was when I had my classes in high school. It is different now. It is less
who's
physical.
Shown their age now?
I know, right? But it is a different kind of CPR that is a whole lot less, I don't want to say invasive, but that's kind of what I mean.
Well, they have had enough time now to realize what is needed to help sustain this person until they get to the advanced life support and care that they need. What is absolutely needed? What can the normal person do to help sustain this person. And so most CPR now, they don't teach you to give breath.
No, it's chest compression.
So there are times where, they are asking if you're able, if you have a one-way mask or something like that available, especially for us, where we have that equipment possibly in our vehicles. But like you said, the most basic to give someone a chance is just compressions, but knowing where to position your hands. How many compressions? What are you looking for? How to position the head and the neck? It's not just about pumping that chest. So take the time to learn that. You never know. It's giving blood. That's another thing that you're like, well, what's that take? Well, it takes you being able to take a needle to the arm and give about 25 minutes, and then have a snack and some juice, make sure you're going to go get up and walk away. But if that's your idea of being that good Samaritan, you're helping save lives. If you're not helping to save them, sometimes you're helping to prolong them long enough. And that's what I think about with the one case I'm telling you. It was like that man reaching out to me later, made me feel like, okay, it was worth it. Why did I do this? I wasn't successful, but it worked. And
Taking a basic Narcan class. Citizens, regular residents can possess Narcan. And it is a simple class to learn how to administer it. That is something that you just carry in your car, you keep in your purse, that could potentially save a life.
And you never know whose life you might be saving.
Exactly.
Don't play the card that, well, they get what they deserve. Sometimes there are people exposed to fentanyl that weren't taking anything. And so you just never know when that little bit of knowledge, that little bit of training that you got might come in handy and might save that life. And so in turn, you never know when it might be you at the Valor Awards being recognized for those efforts. That's not why you should do it, but it's also a nice little acknowledgement and a thank you. So to those recipients tonight, both first responders and to the private citizens, I look forward to seeing you there, and I thank you in advance. Since we're live, I can do that, and that's what I have to say.
Thank you for taking the time today. I hope everybody, congratulations to everyone tonight. They all are well deserved. I'll be back tomorrow, brand new episode of The Valley today, just a few minutes after noon.